Hi everybody, my name is Victoria. Welcome back to my channel. And today I am finally getting around to doing the mid-year Freakout book tag, which I don't know if I've done this consistently on my channel every year, but I've definitely done it at least a few times, if not every year. And you know, it's just a really good way to kind of recap, and it's just an easy formula. So that's why this tag is done so much. It's because it works. So I figured I would go ahead and do it so I can discuss how my reading year has been going. So first I wanted to just do a general recap of how my reading's been going, what pace I've been reading at, and that would be a slow pace. I've had a lot of life changes this year, a lot of new schedules and just shifting how I do things in my life. We moved, so a lot of my time has been getting my house ready in order and working on various things, unpacking. And another factor that kind of slowed down my reading this year was I sort of swore off audiobooks for the first half of the year. And not that I have anything against audiobooks, I am actually getting back into audiobooks now and really enjoying doing that. But the first half of the year, I just really wanted to get back into music. And I was just listening to music when I had a chance to listen to things. And I basically didn't pick up audiobooks except for the month of March. During middle grade March, I did some audiobooks. But other than that, I didn't really listen to audiobooks at all. And I'm just starting to get back into them now. But that definitely affected my numbers compared to like previous years when I kind of always had an audiobook on the go. And I do want to get back into that. So that's kind of my plan going forward. So I'm actually hoping that my reading picks up a little bit. But I think according to Goodreads, I can't remember now, and I didn't look at it right before this, but it's either 14 or 15 books that I've read so far this year. And one of them might have been a children's book that I counted, as in a children's book that I read to my baby. I'll probably add those onto my Goodreads like all at the end of the year, and I'll just add all the books that I've read with Alessandro. But yeah, that's a much lower number. And I kind of knew that that was going to be the case this year, but it's not actually bothering me as much as it probably would have in the past. I've just kind of like accepted that I'm reading way slower than I have in the last 4 or 5 years since starting this booktube channel. And you know, just life ebbs and flows. So it's just been a slow reading year for me. But let's jump into the questions. The first question is the best book you've read so far this year. And I have to shout out 3 books so far that I just really enjoyed, like cover to cover. The first one that I want to shout out is one that I've seen on a lot of other people's lists as well, and that's TRESS of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I did back the Kickstarter for Brandon Sanderson, so I've been enjoying reading the secret projects, and this first secret project that came out was definitely the strongest one that I've read so far. For Brandon Sanderson books, this is not at the very top of my list. I don't think it's nothing compared to Stormlight Archives for me and just the strength of those books. And I tend to I like longer Sanderson books, and TRESS was not a short book by any means, but it's not the Stormlight Archives to me. So the problem with rating Brandon Sanderson books for me now is that anything other than the Stormlight Archives basically just doesn't like match the bar that I have for Sanderson. Probably a 5-star book, really. I give it 4 just because it's just not my favorite Sanderson, but it is a really, really good book, and I did enjoy it. It's everything that everyone says it is. It's charming. It's an easy story to fall into with very lovable characters, and it is a strong one from Brandon Sanderson, and definitely the strongest of the Secret Project books that I've read, but I've only read 2. I haven't read the 3rd one yet, so we'll see if my mind changes. But TRESS of the Emerald Sea had to be on this list. Another of my favorite books that I read was a middle grade book, and it was technically a reread, and that was Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell. And I did read this in maybe, I don't know, 6th grade possibly. And at the time, I don't think I loved it. I'm not even sure I finished it. There is an intense scene in this book, and it kind of disturbed me as a kid a little bit. But as an adult, I loved this book, and I thought it was beautifully written. What I really liked about this book is that it doesn't feel like it's written to be a kid's book. It's written just very maturely, and I also forgot how much fun survival books are to read. They are a lot of fun. There's a reason why as a kid I feel like I picked up a lot of survival type stories, because they are really interesting. And so Island of the Blue Dolphins was a 5-star book for me this year. And then I also want to shout out another shorter work. It's actually technically a novella, I think. And this is The Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell, who is a writer that I adore. And I don't know why I haven't read more Elizabeth Gaskell after reading North and South. I never picked up anything else. And then The Moorland Cottage came up because it was one of Kate Howe's Patreon book club reads, and so I really wanted to read it along with them, and it was great. This is just everything that I love about Elizabeth Gaskell. It's a protagonist that you can really believe in, and also just really despicable antagonists that you have no problem hating. This one was definitely unexpected how it ends. It's a little bit high drama. I thought it was going to be this like cozy kind of read where we just kind of stay around this cottage, but then the ending kind of is very explosive and was not an ending that I was expecting at all. It was just a fun time. There's like I have nothing bad to say about Moorland Cottage. It was just a really fun read, and Elizabeth Gaskell's writing is stunning, and it was a cozy read. I really enjoyed this one. Was it 5 stars? If it wasn't 5 stars, I probably should rate it 5 stars because I really enjoyed this. Question number 2 is the best sequel that you've read so far this year. And I haven't read very many. Actually, the only sequel that I think I've read is The Silver Chair by C.S. Lewis, and this was a reread, so it's a sequel that I already knew I was going to enjoy. This was for Christie's book club that she does, short classics for charity. This is delightful and is maybe my top Narnia book. I have considered it my favorite Narnia book in the past, mostly because of Puddleglum. Puddleglum is my favorite Narnia character, possibly. Narnia always has a place in my heart, and I will always revisit them. And this was also fun to chat about with Christy and the group. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but would like to. And I guess that's gonna be Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which is the secret project number 3 by Brandon Sanderson. And I am really rooting for this one to be up there with TRESS. I am hoping that it is going to be fantastic. I've seen some mixed reviews, but also I've seen some people say that it's like, don't listen to the haters because this is still good. So I'm hoping it's good. It looks beautiful as far as like what I've seen of the cover. I have not received my physical copy yet, so I will be anxiously anticipating that, but I will probably end up starting the ebook version of this so that I can get to it. Question number 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And I'm really not following new releases very closely right now. It's just not something I'm spending time doing. I'm not really looking up new releases and seeing what's coming out, but I do have a couple that I do know are coming out. And so first of all, obviously Secret Project number 4 will be coming out. I think the title for that one is The Sunlit Man, I believe. And I am maybe the most excited about this release. I'm maybe anticipating that it's going to be the strongest release for me. We'll see. But also Christopher Paolini had this whole like social media post about all of these things he's re-releasing, and he's re-releasing Aragon in an illustrated edition, and I do really want to get my hands on that book. I would love to reread Aragon in that edition. I also think you could probably, do I have them behind me? I don't know. Oh, I think I'm blocking them, but I have the Inheritance Cycle, and then my fourth book is like a mass market paperback. It's not a trade paperback, so like it doesn't match my other ones, so it's like shorter if you can see it, and it really bugs me. It's bugged me for years, but I haven't been able to find a trade paperback of the last one, and I thought I was buying one when I bought this, and then it came as a mass market paperback, and I was like, dang it. So it doesn't match my other ones. So I think he is also, or possibly already re-released all four in like a new edition. So I kind of want to get my hands on those as well. And then he also is writing a brand new story in the Inheritance Cycle, and that is called Murtagh, and I'm very excited for that release. I would really like to reread the Inheritance Cycle first though, so I do not think I'm gonna get to Murtagh this year, but I am probably going to pre-order it and have it as soon as I can, because I am just really excited about the revival of the Inheritance Cycle. So that is something that I'm really looking forward to in the second half of the year. And as far as any other books, I have no idea what's coming out. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment this year. And I think I'm gonna have to give that to The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. And I think I have The Maidens sitting over here. And I'm debating just getting rid of The Maidens and not even reading it, because The Silent Patient was just disappointing. I just wanted more from it, and I guess I had my expectations too high. I was enjoying it for a while. I didn't enjoy, there's a lot of like language in it too. It has very unlikable characters, which is not uncommon for a thriller type book, but I don't know. I was just kind of icked out by a lot of the characters. The twist at the end is one that I was disappointed by. And I know for a lot of people it worked, and they, didn't see it coming, or they thought it was good writing. But to me, it was not where I wanted the story to go. It didn't meet my expectations. So The Silent Patient was a big disappointment, because I'd seen a lot of good things said about this book, and I didn't really see them. I think I gave this book 2 stars. Question number 6 is the biggest surprise of the year, and I'm gonna have to mention again Island of the Blue Dolphins, because I didn't think I would like this book that much on a reread. I was curious to reread it, but I didn't think it was going to be like stellar like it was to me. So I'm gonna have to mention that book again. That was I was just surprised that I liked it as much as I did the second time. Question number 7 is a favorite new author, either a debut author or new to you. And for this, I'm gonna say Edith Wharton. And I did read an Edith Wharton for the first time this year. I read The Age of Innocence. However, I had major problems with this book and the plot and where it went and the characters, but I loved Edith Wharton's writing, and I enjoyed this book so much, while at the same time I had issues with it, which is a weird combination. And this is a book that like I have no idea how to rate on Goodreads or anything, because different elements of it were way better for me than others. And so it's just really hard for me to reconcile it. So I hesitate to even give this book a rating because of that. But I do know that I want to try Edith Wharton again, and that I think maybe some of her other books are gonna work for me better, because her writing is top notch. No complaints there. And she's also very just observant and funny, and satirical here and there. She's very biting. And again, it was just a weird experience of I enjoyed this book, and I also had problems with the plot. So it's very, very mixed. Very mixed feelings about this one. but I was not mixed on Edith Wharton's writing at all. I think she's an author that I need to dive into a little bit more. Question number 8 is your newest fictional crush. And that is, it's a silly question, but I'm going to attempt to answer it. I know I considered just skipping it, but we're going to try to answer it because there is just a sweet cinnamon roll of a character who I love very much, and that's Frank Buxton from Moreland Cottage. He is our hero of that story, and he's just a sweet guy. He's just a really nice guy, and he's very supportive of Maggie, and he's like it's like a healthy relationship between Maggie and Frank, and he was just very charming. So I'm gonna say Frank Buxton from Moreland Cottage. Question number 9 is newest favorite character, and again, I'm gonna talk about Moreland Cottage. I'm sorry if this tag is boring because I'm talking about the same books over and over, but Maggie Brown from Moreland Cottage. She is also a sweet cinnamon roll of a character, if you can apply that term to her. She's trying to rise above her terrible family. Gosh, her family just does not appreciate her, and I enjoyed her character arc and watching her grow and kind of come into her own and to not live under the thumb of her family quite so much. She becomes more independent and makes some strong choices for herself. So I really enjoyed reading about Maggie Brown. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry. I think I spent middle grade March this year crying because so many middle grade books are heartbreaking, and I'm gonna have to shout out PAX. I didn't like cry, but these are just some sad books, I will say. None of these books like made me sob or anything, but PAX, which is about a fox and a boy and their relationship and how they become friends, and they also get separated like right at the beginning, and just that separation alone and like how it goes down is heartbreaking if you like care about animals and care about animal stories. Just right off the bat, it reminded me of the movie Up, where within like the first 5 minutes of the movie you're crying. It was very much like a Pixar kind of scene where right at the beginning we have this terrible thing happen to the fox and the boy. They get separated, and the rest of the book is about them and their journeys while they're separated and trying to get back together, basically. But PAX was very emotional of a read. Island of the Blue Dolphins is also a really emotional read. Some heavy stuff happens in that. And then A Rover's Story, which was another middle grade book. And I forgot the author, Jasmine something. I'll put it on the screen. But A Rover's Story was really sweet. I was kind of thinking it was going to be like Wall-E, and it did give me some strong Wall-E vibes. Again, the Pixar, I guess the middle grade and the Pixar going hand in hand. Yeah, A Rover's Story has some really touching moments, especially towards the end, and some heartbreaking and heart-wrenching scenes. So middle grade really knows how to pull on your heartstrings. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy. And I'm gonna, again, be a little bit of a broken record. TRESS of the Emerald Sea was a happy read. It's just a fun time. And then not to be too much of a broken record, I did really enjoy the Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. The title is too long though. It's a way too long of a title. But I did really enjoy this. I think I enjoyed this a little bit more than a lot of people did. This book, I feel like online at least, it got some very critical and negative reviews, and there is a lot of valid points in those, and I do not think this was Brandon Sanderson's best by any means, but it is funny. This book is hilarious, and I enjoyed the type of humor in this. It's what I would imagine like Discworld might be like, even though I haven't read a Discworld book, but from what I know about Terry Pratchett's humor, I would think that this was a little bit like that. It also reminded me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of humor, and I thought at times the humor in this book works even better than TRESS in certain times. I think Brandon Sanderson really leaned into a certain style that we haven't really seen from him before, and it was really different for him. It's not a perfect story. This story is a bit confusing at many parts, and it's not his strongest for sure. However, I think I like this a little bit more than a lot of people did. This was fun. This was really fun. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. And I think they're both behind me, but I'm gonna pull both. Oh, if I can get to them. Oh no, everything's gonna fall on my head in a second, I'm sure. But you know what they are. Frugal Wizards, and I actually haven't like looked through here too much, but there is some really beautiful art. The special editions and just really cool sketches. I haven't quite looked at all of the artwork through this book, but it is a beautiful edition. They've just been hitting it really out of the park with these editions. And then of course TRESS of the Emerald Sea, which I think is a more beautiful book as far as the artwork inside, and it's just really gorgeous. And I think I enjoy this artist in particular is a different artist than this one, and this one is my preference for sure. But yeah, I don't think anything else can compare to these two books that I've read, or that I've acquired this year. And finally, we're on the last question, which is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I have some that I would like to read by the end of the year, but I've really taken the pressure off of my reading because I just know that I'm really slow. I'm really slow right now, which is fine. But there are some things that I would be super happy about if I could finish them by the end of the year. One of those things is the Assassin's Apprentice trilogy. I am supposed to buddy read Assassin's Apprentice, I believe, in August with Dia, if she still wants to do it. Hopefully she does. I have been meaning to reread Assassin's Apprentice so that I can continue. I think I read Assassin's Apprentice a few years ago with Michael Nipp's Patreon group, and it was just a lovely book. I think Robin Hobb is going to be an author for me. I just need to sit down and actually read the rest of the trilogy. I think I'm going to love Robin Hobb based on everything I've heard about her writing, and also what I've experienced from her writing from Assassin's Apprentice. She's like all my buzzwords, like lyrical writing, beautiful prose, very slow-moving, character-centered stories. All of those things are what I love in books. I know Robin Hobb and I are going to get along just fine. And so I would love to finish the Farseer trilogy this year. I also really need to continue with my Harry Potter reread. I stopped on book 5. I need to pick up book 5. I've been rereading the Harry Potter series for like 3 years now. I've been reading like 1 or 2 books a year. And I would like to maybe speed up that process because I think I forget that I'm in the middle of a Harry Potter reread, and then I move on to other things. And then I'm like, oh yeah, wasn't I rereading Harry Potter at some point? So I did. I read The Goblet of Fire at the end of last year, I think last fall. And it is time for me to move on. At least if I can do 1 Harry Potter book a year, I will finish my reread in 2 more years, I guess. But hopefully I can move a little faster than that. But I need to dive back into Harry Potter 5. And then I also have had on my list for a long time of finishing the Grisha trilogy, which I need to read Ruin and Rising. And I did watch the Shadow and Bone Netflix TV show, and I think I spoiled myself for how it ends. If the TV show is similar to Ruin and Rising, which I think it probably is. So I kind of know how the story ends, but I would like to officially finish this trilogy, which I've been meaning to do for I don't even know how long, but I just need to read this last book, and then I'll be through. So I need to just do it so that I can read Six of Crows, because I still haven't read Six of Crows yet, which is why I picked up the Grisha trilogy in the first place. I really just wanted to read those first before I read Six of Crows. But it's been like 4 years of going back and forth in those books and not completing trilogies. So we really need to get on that. If I could do those 3 things by the end of the year, I would be perfectly happy. So we will see if we can do it. So those are all of my answers for the mid-year freak out book tag. I'm not freaking out. I hope you're not freaking out. No one's freaking out here. We're just enjoying reading. You know, there's no pressure on this. I've been enjoying going through books slower and just, you know, incorporating reading into my life where I can. And so I might be the slowest booktuber on this platform, but I am coming to peace with that. And you know, that's just how life is sometimes. But let me know if you have read any of these books or if you had any of the same thoughts as me or different thoughts. I would love to know also what's been your favorite read of 2023 so far. Let me know down in the comments. All of my bookish social media links are down below if you want to follow me in other places. Keep reading great books, and until next time, bye-bye.